Welcome to Barnstable Today. I'm Nick Cortez. Just a reminder that full-length meetings, special events, and every episode of every program we air here on Channel 18 are available to view online. You can check it all out in the town's video archives at town.barnstable.ma.us. Well, as you can see going on behind us, Town Hall is being renovated, but not only renovated, restored. And to get a lot more detail on exactly what goes into this, and there really is a lot that goes into this, we talked to owner's project manager for the Barnstable DPW, John Juros, who's overseeing how all of this is going along. So if you've driven down South Street or walked across the Village Green and wondered to yourself, well, what the heck are we doing out here? Here's exactly what we're doing. So, John, tell us a little bit about the full scope of this project here.
Sure. This is a $2 million plus project. It's a historic restoration of the building. That scope involves cleaning the exterior masonry, and we wanted to clean it so that it had a modeled look, not a absolutely stark brand new building look. It's a historic building, so we want to give it a little bit of age. Okay. And so all the joints have been cleaned off, and now we're grinding them. We're going to grind them back. That's all the noise. Back about 1.5 inches, and then we're going to pack that joint with appropriate mortar, and then the outer piece of that joint will be colored to match the original historic look and character of the building. Beyond that, we'll be doing major repairs on the archways, arches over the windows. Those supporting members, in fact, support the building weight above. Those have been terribly weathered over the years. There's cracked brick in there. There's some unsafe conditions. So we're replacing a great number of those with new structural steel and brick. And the brick, of course, is custom made to match the building. Beyond all that, there's the windows. All the windows are being replaced with 120-mile-an-hour wind. The muttons that you see on the building and the sticking, it's going to be the same kind of thing. We're trying to be very faithful to the historic character of the building. And then the copper gutters and downspouts will be removed and replaced with appropriate new materials because they've worn over the years, and the soffits, and then lastly the roof itself. We're going to be replacing that roof in total. We found that there were over 50% or better of the slates were cracked, and some had fallen, and we did some emergency repairs a while back. Now it's time to replace that. When we do that, we'll check the structure underneath, and the structure getting a clean bill of health. We're going to go and re-roof the job, put new flashing on the thing, and when it's done, it's going to be a great centerpiece for the town.
Absolutely. So talk to me a little bit about the difference between a conventional renovation and a historic restoration, because it's part research and part construction, right?
Yes. This is where we take a lot of care in dealing with what the mortar is, the coloration, the sands, the cements that have gone into that, and so we look at that and we work very hard to match it. Some of the projects you've seen around in other areas where they've done a patchwork quilt, we're not going to have that in this building. You're going to have a cleaned up modeled building, I'll bet. And it's going to be tight, weatherproof, so that it's a solid masonry wall, so the moisture will not penetrate through the wall as it does today, which is a major problem on the building, and we'll talk about that, I'm sure, in the following year when we start to think about what to do inside the building. However, in terms of restoration, we worry about the brick and the color and the texture. We're concerned about the character of the window itself and the trim around the windows. We worry about the slate itself and the size of that slate and the weight of that material on top of what's here. And then all the flashing and finials and gutters and downspouts that give the building its character, they all need to be carefully reproduced in place. So we're not just changing things. It's not adaptive reuse. The exterior is a pure restoration. And that means we have to be careful that there's additional brick that have to be replaced as we find damaged materials, and so the contingency funds have to be much greater on a historic restoration.
Sure. Now, John, I wonder if you might be able to tell us a little bit about what you've learned over the years about the history of Town Hall in general for folks who might not know out there. The building is over 100 years old. I believe it is on the National Register of Historic Places, and it has had a very colorful and varied history over the years. Can you give us the synopsis of what this building has been and how it's grown over the years?
Well, this was actually built as a normal school, which is a preparation program for teachers. My mom actually went to a normal school in Worcester years ago, and so I was familiar with the term when I got here.
Sure.
And in fact, when we took down the sign, it says State Normal School in the masonry over the very entrance door. So that's a little piece of history. Off to our left here, I don't know if you can see that, but there was another companion building opposite the school administration building, so this was a real courtyard, if you will, with the three buildings, and this was all open. There were no trees out here. This was like much of the Cape. It was stripped bare, and over time trees have been planted, in fact maybe too many.
So obviously this property has been through a lot over the course of 100 years or so. Is this the first time that this building has been substantially restored since it was built?
Well, it had a history. You know, it's been 100 years, so there have been a series of renovations and repairs. There was a fire over in the survey department prior to that, and that piece was sort of rebuilt inside. There's a lot of renovation that perhaps needs to be had within the building. There have been changes to the mechanical system and the electrical system. A lot has been done to try and make it fit within the budgets that were given at those times.
Yeah.
Now we're getting to the point where the outside skin needs a major overhaul. It's been cut out and repointed over time, but the moisture and the salt air has taken its toll on the metal products of the building, including the lintels and the structural frame that's holding those. And so now is the time to go after that. Once that work is done and stabilize this building, it'll be good for another 100 years, if you will, on the outside. However, the interior will be another story.
John, what's the timetable for this project? Obviously, we see the lifts out here now. I know the scaffolding will be going up very soon. How will this move forward?
Well, people have asked me how come there aren't more people on site. And I said, well, you know, it's a restoration project, so we have windows that have to be drawn and approved and go through a fabrication process. There's glazing that has to be cut to size. That all takes time and a lot of lead time. We have the grinding work. It's all by hand. They're working on individual lifts. Very shortly, you'll see staging going up around the entire building. That will make it look like we're actually doing something.
Yeah.
And the staging is going up so that we can, in fact, do the masonry repairs, which will take some time and a little bit of more noise than you're hearing today. And then there's the metal flashings and the gutters and downspouts, and then, of course, the slate roof. And the slate has to be taken from the earth, has to be milled, drilled, and shipped down here. So all of those processes take time. But we're on schedule, we're moving ahead, we're full tilt, and I expect we'll probably be done by mid-February.
Well, John, thank you so much for all the information. It's certainly a painstaking process to restore fully a historic building, but that's what's happening behind us right now, and we look forward to seeing the finished product.
Great, thank you very much.
Thanks, John. As the restoration of Town Hall continues, we'll be providing you periodic progress updates. John will join us again over the course of the next several months to let us know what has happened since this point today. Now, let's take a look at this week's meetings. And at 7 p.m., the school committee meets in the Town Hall hearing room. On Wednesday, August 18th, the Hyannis Main Street Waterfront Historic District Commission meets in the Selectmen's Conference Room at 7 p.m., and the Shellfish Committee meets at the MEA offices on Finney's Lane at 7:30 p.m. Well, that's all for now. I'm Nick Cortez, and we'll see you next time on Barnstable Today.